Yo, how's it going, everybody? Swagkage here, and welcome to another Hunter x Hunter video. Today I'm pretty excited because we're going to be talking about my favorite character in the whole series and his ridiculous Nen ability. Now, Chrollo's pretty tough, he's a pretty good fighter, and he's great at using Nen in general, even without taking his Hatsu into account, but I want to focus mostly on his power itself in this video. Chrollo's a specialist, and his Hatsu is a power called Skill Hunter. As the name implies, it allows him to steal and collect the powers of other people, which in the context of Hunter x Hunter may sound a little bit insane at first, and that's because it is. To offset how busted this power is, there are a lot of conditions that Chrollo has to fulfill in order to use it, and while they do hold it back from being as outrageously useful as it would be without them, they don't stop it from being one of the most powerful Nen abilities on the entire planet. All of Skill Hunter's mechanics and limitations revolve around a conjured book that Chrollo has dubbed Bandit's Secret. Despite the fact that conjuration isn't his affinitive aura type, since it lies so close to specialization on the Nen graph, Chrollo is able to incorporate conjuration elements into his power seamlessly. It's worth pointing out that there don't appear to be any limits placed on the act of conjuring the book itself, but it is imperative that Chrollo has it on him if he intends to do anything with his power. Now, once he's conjured the book, there are different requirements that need to be met depending on whether he wants to steal a power or use a power that he's already stolen. Stealing a person's Hatsu is particularly tough, and according to the cover page of chapter 123, requires that he meets 4 conditions. The first requires him to personally see the Nen ability he wishes to steal in action. The second requires he ask the victim about their Nen power and receive an answer. The third requires the victim to place their hand on the handprint drawn on the cover of Bandit's Secret, and the fourth condition requires that all 3 previous conditions be met in an hour. Now, Chrollo has shown that he's more than capable of fulfilling these prerequisites despite how overwhelming they may be, as he's clearly capable of using at least a dozen different Hatsu. Not to mention, it's possible for him to get over some of these hurdles by convincing somebody to voluntarily give him access to their power, as he did with Shalnark in preparation for his fight against Hisoka. The restrictions placed on using the stolen powers are nowhere near as oppressive. When Chrollo steals someone's power, it will be stored in the form of a page inside of the book, and the only thing that Chrollo has to do to use one of these powers is turn to the page that it's stored on. Despite the fact that this is only one limitation, it's a pretty big one, since it completely prevents Chrollo from using hand-to-hand combat in conjunction with his stolen powers, and forces him to maneuver through the battlefield rather awkwardly. He can't close the book in the middle of using a power, and he must specifically hold it in his right hand, so if he drops it or the book changes hands, he'll lose access to the power he's currently attempting to use. Another limitation placed on the use of stolen Hatsu, and this one's a little bit more obvious, is generally, after the person who originally owned the power dies, Chrollo won't be able to use it anymore. He explains that in rare cases there are exceptions, since Nen appears to become stronger after death, and if this does end up happening in the case of one of the people he's stolen a Hatsu from, he'll be able to keep the Hatsu in question, though I don't know if it becomes any more effective or any more powerful in any way, given that it relies on the Nen of the person in question becoming stronger after they pass away. Another limitation, albeit one not listed on the cover page of chapter 123, is one that appears to be more of an inherent consequence of the power's design as opposed to a limitation that Chrollo set on his Hatsu himself. The basic idea is Chrollo can't use a stolen Hatsu in a way that would break the rules of that Hatsu from the perspective of the person who initially owned it. An example is provided in the manga. He explains to Hisoka that he can't use Order Stamp on corpses because it's an ability that can only be used on objects. That was one of the limitations placed on it by its original user. While Chrollo sees no distinction between a dead body and an inanimate object, the creator of Order Stamp clearly did. And as a result, despite the fact that a restriction on the use of corpses isn't actually listed as one of Order Stamp's limitations, the implication is because the person Chrollo stole it from subconsciously saw a difference between an inanimate object and a dead body, this in turn affected the limitation preventing Order Stamp from being used on anything living, even despite Chrollo's different philosophical outlook on the issue. Now, going back to the subject of Chrollo being unable to use a power unless he has Bandit's Secret open in his right hand to the page of the power in question, he eventually created a supplementary Hatsu that allowed him to circumvent this, called Double Face. Double Face is a bookmark that Chrollo can use to quote-unquote mark his place inside of Bandit's Secret, and he'll be able to use the power listed on whatever page he chooses to leave it on even after he closes the book or turns the page. This provides 2 different advantages that he didn't have before when using Bandit's Secret. The first of which is that he can fight with both of his hands when using a stolen power, and the second of which is he can use 2 powers at once by marking one ability with the bookmark and opening the book to the the page of another power while it rests there. He mentions offhand that Doubleface has given him a set of new, pretty troublesome limitations to deal with, but doesn't go into detail about what they are. So because of that, there's not much left for me to say about the power. I think I've covered just about everything I can, and considering Hunter x Hunter's release schedule, I don't think we're gonna get any more details about Chrollo's power for a while. Anyway, if you have any requests for other Hunter x Hunter videos you want to see me make in the future, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of this video, of course, but above all else, just have a great rest of the day. Till my next video, I'll talk to you later. Swagkage out. Bye.